A woman arrives at a party. She sees a good-looking guy standing on his own. So she goes up to him and says, "Hey, my name is Carmen." "That's a nice name," said the man. "Is it a family name?" "No," said the woman. "I gave it to myself as it represents the two things I like the most, cars and men." She then asks, "What's your name?" He replies, "BJ Tits and Golf." Little Johnny is attending the first day of his school's sex education class. The teacher draws a penis on the blackboard and asks, "Who can tell me what this is?" Of course, Johnny raises his hand and says, "It's a penis." "My daddy has two of them." Incredulously, the teacher asks, "Two of them?" "Yeah," replies Johnny. "The little one he pees with, and a big one he uses to brush the maid's teeth." There was a man who unfortunately lost both of his testicles in a freak accident. Life had been rough for him, but luck took a strange turn when he was fast-tracked into a government job under the disability quota. On his first day, he showed up bright and early at the government office. As he approached his new supervisor's desk, the supervisor glanced up, raised an eyebrow, and noticed that the guy didn't seem to have any apparent visible disability. "Oh, you're the new guy. Welcome," said the supervisor, shuffling some papers around. "Now, if you don't mind me asking, what exactly is your disability?" The guy sighed, a little embarrassed, but he replied honestly, "Well, I lost both my testicles in an accident." The supervisor gave a sympathetic nod and then thought for a moment. "I see. Well, in that case, why don't you join us from tomorrow, but you can start work at noon after lunch?" he suggested. The man was puzzled. "Noon? But why?" he asked. "Look, I know the official work hours start at 9 a.m. Just because I'm disabled doesn't mean I can't pull my weight. I don't need pity." The supervisor leaned back in his chair and chuckled softly. "Oh, no, it's not about pity," he said. "It's just that, you see, we're government officials, and from 9 a.m. to noon we do nothing but sit around scratching our balls. What will you do?" Some days went by, and one day this guy received a phone call telling him to start working at 9. "Sorry, boss, but why would I need to do that? I don't have balls to scratch." The boss replied, "Yeah, well, it's because we just hired a guy with no hands." The policeman, well known by the locals, goes home after a long and exhausting day at work. He enters the dark bedroom and strips off his uniform, leaving it on the floor. Being so tired, he did not bother to turn on the light. Plus, he didn't want to disturb his wife, who was in bed. Just before he got into bed, his wife said, "Honey, we're out of bread. Please buy one at the corner shop, as I needed it to make breakfast for the kids." "Fine," said the husband, "but you should have mentioned it before I took off my uniform." He then put on his uniform and went to the corner shop. He took up the loaf of bread, and while paying for it, the cashier, who knew he's a cop, says, "New job." "Now," replied the policeman. "Really?" said the cashier. "So how come you have on a fireman uniform?" Little Johnny's teacher was given a lesson in developing logical thinking. "This is the scene," said the teacher. "A man is standing up in a boat in the middle of a river, fishing. He loses his balance, falls in, and begins splashing and yelling for help. His wife hears the commotion, knows he can't swim, and runs down to the bank. Why do you think she ran to the bank?" Little Johnny raised his hand and asked to draw out all his savings. Two men were having a slow round of golf because the two ladies in front of them managed to get into every sand trap, lake, and rough on the course. They didn't bother to wave the men on through, which is proper golf etiquette. After 2 hours of waiting, one man said, "I think I'll walk up there and ask those gals to let us play through." He walked out the fairway, got halfway to the ladies, stopped, turned around, and came back explaining, "I can't do it. One of those women is my wife and the other is my mistress. Maybe you'd better go talk to them." The second man walked toward the ladies, got halfway there, and just as his partner had done, stopped, turned around, and walked back and said, "Small world. That's my wife and my mistress, too." An elderly couple were sitting outdoors at a cafe when they noticed an old man who seemed to be having trouble crossing the street with an ungainly shuffle. The man said to his wife, "He surely has bad arthritis to walk like that." His wife replied, "No, that's definitely old-time rheumatism." They couldn't agree, so the man decided to ask the old man. He walked over to him and said, "Excuse me, sir, but my wife and I saw you having difficulty crossing the street, and I told her that you have arthritis, but she insisted that you have rheumatism. Which one of us was wrong?" The old man said, "The three of us were wrong." "Three of us were wrong? How so?" asked the man. To which the old man replied, "You were wrong when you said I had arthritis. Your wife was wrong when she said I had rheumatism, and I was wrong when I thought I just had to pass gas." A young woman awakes during the night to find that her husband was not in bed. She puts on her dressing gown and goes downstairs to look for him. She finds him sitting at the kitchen table with a hot cup of coffee in front of him. He appears to be in deep thought, just staring at the wall. She watches as he wipes a tear from his eye and takes a sip of his coffee. "What's the matter, dear?" she whispers as she steps into the room. The husband looks up from his coffee. "I'm just remembering when we first met 20 years ago and started dating." "You remember back then?" he says solemnly. The wife is touched to tears thinking that her husband is so caring, so sensitive. "Yes, I do," she replies. The husband pauses. The words were not coming easily. "Do you remember when your father called us in my car?" "Yes, I remember," says the wife, lowering herself into a chair beside him. The husband continues, "Do you remember when he shoved the shotgun in my face and said, 'Either you marry my daughter or I will send you to jail for 20 years? "I remember that also," she replies softly. He wipes another tear from his cheek and says, "I would have been released today if only I took the right decision." A police officer in a small town stopped the motorist who was speeding down Main Street. "But officer," the man began, "I can explain." "Just be quiet," snapped the officer. "I'm going to let you cool your heels in jail until the chief gets back." "But officer, I just want to say," and I said to keep quiet. "You're going to jail." A few hours later, the officer looked in on his prisoner and said, "Lucky for you that the chief is at his daughter's wedding. He'll be in a good mood when he gets back." "Don't count on it," answered the fellow in the cell. "I'm the groom." The blonde girl goes to the council to register for child benefit. "How many children?" asks the council worker. 10, replies the blonde girl. Then says the council worker, "What are their names?" Wayne, 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 Wayne. The council asks, "Doesn't that get confusing?" "Now, yeah," says the blonde girl's great, because if they're out playing in the street, I just have to shout Wayne, "Your dinner's ready," or "Wayne, go to bed now," and they'll do it. "What if you want to speak to one individually?" says the perturbed council worker. "That's easy," says the girl. "I just use their surnames." The Drunken Irishman is driving through the city of Dublin, and his car is weaving violently all over the road. A cop pulls him over. "So," says the cop to the driver, "where have you been?" "I've been to the pub," slurs the drunk. "Well," says the cop, "it looks like you've had quite a few." "I did all right," the drunk says with a smile. "Did you know," says the cop, standing straight and folding his arms, "that a few miles back your wife fell out of your car?" "Well, thank heaven," sighs the man. "For a minute there I thought I'd gone deaf." The pregnant woman went to the gynecologist, and when asked that was a problem, she responded, "Well, whenever I take off my clothes, my melons get hard." Shocked, the doctor took a deep breath, then asked, "Your melons get hard?" "Yes," quite innocently came her reply. "Undress so I can check," replied the still amazed doc. So she undressed, and he got down to the feeling and massaging, trying to reach an answer. After some considerable time, the doctor still looked puzzled and said, "Well, madame, I don't know what you have, but it sure as hell is contagious.